Hello there guys, gals, and other identifying pals. For this Pride Month, I decided to go back and redo something I've done before, except I've done way more flags this time. So I'm just essentially taking like a pride flag and doing an animal design with it. So some of them do have actual reasons for it, but some don't. I asked specifically in a community post for all of the flags y'all wanted to see, so I have gone in and done all of those. If I missed one, let me know. Like if there's one you wanted to see that I didn't do, just let me know in comments or something. But we're gonna get straight into it. I will be describing as many of these as I can, because I know it's helpful for people who are still figuring stuff out to know what everything means. I know it would have helped me. So, starting off with the label I know best, this is AroAce. This is when you are both on the Aro spectrum and the Ace spectrum. So it's aromantic asexual. Basically, what that means is that you feel little to no romantic or sexual attraction. There's also an oriented AroAce. That is on the side of the spectrum where you do feel attraction of some sort, but for the people that do feel some, it is extremely rare. It's not common at all. And then you have angled AroAce, which this is actually the one I learned most recently. Angled AroAce essentially is you feel attraction in a sense, but it's not romantic or sexual attraction. It's just tertiary attraction. Aromantic and demiromantic. Aromantic is when you don't feel attraction basically at all, like romantic attraction, don't feel it. Now you can be Aro without being Ace, which is why it's its own thing. Ace and demi-ace. So asexual, demisexual. When you don't feel sexual attraction, which is asexual. Cupiosexual. This is a micro label under the Aro spectrum, Aro umbrella, whatever term you want to call it. And Cupiosexual is when you're Aro, but you in some way would like to experience romantic attractions. Pupgender. I actually had to move the little definition into my canvas to make sure I knew what it was while I was working. I did find two flags for this one, so there are two designs. And Pupgender is just when you feel a close connection to like puppies. A lot of people will use, or maybe all, I don't know much about this one, but people tend to use pup or pup self, I think, pronouns for this one. Very cool. And then on to bisexual. This one I think everyone knows, but just in case we're going over it. Bi is when you feel attraction to two genders. There's also biromantic, which is when you're ace and bi. And I have two flags for that one. The colors on that guy were a bit tricky, so I did have to change most of the body, but I tried to keep colors the same on all of these. And then now we have all of the lesbian flags, which there were so many. So many flags. This one I went with a little hyena. Lesbian is just when like a woman likes another woman. That's all it is. Pretty simple. A lot of people know that one. Those designs were fun to do. Trans, and I did a little lion, and this one actually does have a reason as well, and that's because some lionesses have been seen both in captivity and in the wild growing manes and becoming more masculine looking. Gay pride flag. I'm sure we all know what this is by now, but it's when a man loves another man. Did some little penguins on that one because there are a lot of penguins that are pretty well known for being in the same couple relationships, including two in some zoo somewhere that keep adopting kids. And then here's the Uranic flag, which I did with albatrosses, because there are a lot of albatrosses that have been found in same-sex relationships. A gender-fluid ribbon eel. The reason why I went with a ribbon eel is because they change their gender over time. They're also just silly little guys, and who wouldn't want to draw that little smile? Oh gosh. And then here we have polyamorous, which there were so many flags for, but I have a very short explanation. So this one you're probably gonna get a little bit of silence or music, whatever I put on. This one I did gray-lag geese because they're known for being in polyamorous relationships. It's pretty common among them. And polyamory is just, it's like the opposite of monogamy. So monogamy is when you have one partner, you stick to the one partner. Polyamory is when you're able to have more than one partner. So with graysexual, this is when people only experience sexual attraction sometimes, and sometimes not at all, so it just depends for them. Again, I'm not familiar with a lot of these, so if I'm wrong on anything, please just in the comments let me know, and I will either add it to a pinned comment, like any corrections, or I will add it to the to the description. This is the Neptunic flag, and this one I do know about because I have a few characters that are Neptunic. So it's when you're attracted to feminine presenting people. So that could be women, could be demigirls, could be non-binary people who are more feminine presenting. This one is a leopard, and this is the Transmasc flag, which is when you're transgender, but to a masculine identity, I believe. This is bigender. This is when you go by two genders. And this one is I believe, marbled fox? Yeah, it's a marbled fox. This is demigender. Demigender is when someone's non-binary, but they experience a partial connection to a certain gender. So demifluid is when part of your gender is fluid, so it can change. And another part is static, so it doesn't change at all. It stays the same. This is an agender dart frog. So it's just when you really don't have a gender. This one was a Polygender Rat, which I believe is just when you have several genders. This is Genderqueer, it's a little possum. So genderqueer is just when you don't follow binary gender norms. So anything that's not binary. This is an Omnisexual Raccoon, and what omnisexual is essentially just liking more than one gender. This is Demigirl, which I did a cow for, and Demigirl is just when your gender partially is female, but you're not wholly binary. This is Demiboy, which is the same thing as Demigirl, but for guys. This is just feeling like your gender is partially masculine, but not fully. Pan, and I did a little duck. So pansexual is attraction to anyone regardless of gender, and then I also have panromantic on here. Here's a non-binary bear. A non-binary is a bit of a umbrella term, but it just describes people who don't fit a binary description of gender, so people who don't identify as male or female. This is Lithromantic. Lithromantic is essentially when you feel attraction, like romantic attraction towards someone, but have no desire for it. And if feelings are reciprocated, a lot of the time people will lose that attraction. Grayromantic is like Graysexual, where you experience attraction infrequently, but this one is specifically for romantic attraction. Gynophilia, or being gynophilic, is just an attraction to women. It doesn't matter what gender you are. So trigender, you can either identify as a third category that isn't in the binary, or it can be you feel like 3 different genders. Aegosexuality is when you're ace, you're under the ace spectrum, the asexual spectrum, but can have sexual fantasies. It looks, based on this definition though, like there is still a disconnect between yourselves and that. This is Unlabeled. It's a little unlabeled owl, and unlabeled is just when you haven't labeled yourself. You don't use a label. That one I actually had to invert the colors on to see it better because they're so light. Orchidromantic! This is Orchidromantic. I've got a little kangaroo for it. Orchidromantic is when you feel romantic attraction, but don't really want to. So like, you feel romantic attraction, but you don't want or need it. It's basically the opposite of Cupiosexual. So Pomosexual is just when you don't want your sexuality to be put into a conventional category. Abrosexuals have different levels of sexual or romantic attraction throughout their lifetime. So essentially it just means it changes sometimes, fluctuates. Boyflux. This is Boyflux, and it's a goat. So Boyflux it's like gender flux, where your gender, it can fluctuate, it can change a little bit, but specifically in more masculine identities. This is Aceflux. This is for the asexual spectrum. Your sexual attraction, it fluctuates. This is Cupiosexual, which is the same as Cupioromantic but with sexual attraction. And so it's when you don't feel sexual attraction but you would like to. Aroflux, which is like Aceflux but with aromantic attraction. Not aromantic attraction, but with romantic attraction. Polysexual is when you are attracted to more than one gender, I believe. So being pangender is under the non-binary umbrella, but it's when your gender is kind of like several genders. Apothyromantic is an identity for people who are romance repulsed. So apothesexual is just when you're sex repulsed. And that was all of them. If I missed any, or if I got definitions wrong, just correct me in the comments. I will either do a pinned comment with correction to everything, or I'll add it in the description. I will have every animal and label down in the description. Also, I know it's halfway through July. I'm sorry. I got major art block, and I got a little bit of burnout halfway through this. And then halfway through editing, half of my audio just vanished, so I had to find time to re-record everything. Thank you all for watching. Thank you for your patience. I'm gonna go do some stuff that isn't drawing now. I'm gonna take a break, dude. This was a lot. Happy Pride Month, y'all.